town of Cashel is steeped in history, dating back to the year 370 AD, when Conall Cork, head of the Oenachta, established the first buildings on a limestone outcrop of 200 feet high, known as the Fairy Ridge. Known all over the world, the Rock of Cashel is probably one of the finest examples of medieval architecture to be seen anywhere. The rock served as the principal fortification of the King of Munster since the 4th century. Brian Boru was crowned King of Munster here in 978 AD. As well as being the royal seat of the Kings of Munster, the Rock of Cashel became a very important ecclesiastical centre when the first synod was held here in 1101. At that time, Muirchertach O'Brien, King of Munster and self-professed High King of Ireland, granted the Rock of Cashel to the Church. Paying testament to its importance, the Franciscan, Dominican, Cistercian and Benedictine orders established monasteries close to the rock in the following century. The fortress is surrounded by a high stone wall with garrisoned watchtowers, making it an ideal defensive site, overlooking the rolling plains of the Golden Vale. The complex has a character of its own and is one of the most remarkable collections of medieval architecture to be found anywhere in Europe. The oldest and tallest of the buildings is the well-preserved Round Tower, which dates from around 1100. It is 90 feet tall and is constructed of sandstone. The traditional name for such a tower is Plighoch, meaning a bell house. This tower was also used for refuge in times of unrest. St. Patrick visited the Rock of Cashel in 450 AD, where he baptized King Angus and his son. St. Patrick's Cross dates back to the 12th century and stands 7 feet tall. It was formed from one block of sandstone. Originally, it had 2 supports for the arms, of which only one remains. The west face bears a crucifixion scene, with Christ wearing a long robe. The east face bears the figure of a bishop carrying a crozier, thought to be St. Patrick standing on the head of an ox. Visitors to the Rock of Cashel enter through the Vicar's Choral, built in the 15th century. The Vicar's Choral were minor clerics and laymen who assisted in chanting the cathedral services. Originally there were 8, later reduced to 5, and this practice continued until 1836. The hall of the Vicar's Choral was restored in 1975 by the Office of Public Works to resemble what it would have looked like in its glory days. The kitchen and dining hall upstairs contained some period furniture, fireplaces, a Flemish tapestry and paintings beneath a fine carved oak roof and gallery. It also houses stone carvings of the 4 evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. There is also an audio-visual presentation on the rock's history. The exhibits in the adjoining undercroft include some very rare silverware, Bronze Age axes and St. Patrick's Cross. now moved indoors to protect it from further erosion by the elements. The silverware is stored in the Bolton Library, and the gold chalice is still in daily use in the local Catholic church. The Cashel bell is kept in the Hunt Museum in Limerick. The original Bishop's Crozier is in safekeeping in the National Museum in Dublin. The bell and the crozier shown in the museum are replicas of the originals. The largest structure on the Rock of Cashel is the cathedral. The cathedral was built between 1230 and 1290. It is cruciform in shape with a central tower. The tower is 85 feet high and probably served as a belfry. The exterior of the cathedral is highly decorative, with buttresses, conical caps and arches, used for holding statues or other venerable objects. The chancel is 93 feet long, and all windows are slanting inwards, providing more natural light. The nave only measures 42 feet, because of the tower house adjoining it. On the western side of the cathedral is the Archbishop's Palace, built in the 15th century by Richard O'Hadian. It is 80 feet high and contains 5 stories. The palace is linked to the cathedral by a number of passageways. Extensive conservation work is underway on the wall paintings of the transepts. The ornate tombs depict vine leaves and interlacings of fierce animals and beasts. The most attractive elements of the cathedral are the transepts, with triple lancet windows. On the east side of the transepts are side chapels, each with 2 niches. The north transept and long choir contain late medieval tombs and grave slabs. The buildings are surrounded by a graveyard with many fine copies of Celtic crosses, the largest being Scully's Cross to the northeast of the cathedral. It was built in 1867 by a local family. The cross depicts Christ sitting in judgment, with the good souls on the right and the bad souls on the left. There are 3 panels underneath, depicting St. Patrick as a prisoner before Niall of the 9 hostages, as a shepherd boy planning his escape, and finally as a bishop baptizing King Angus. Cormac's Chapel, the chapel of King Cormac MacCormac, was started in 1127 and was consecrated in 1134. It is a gem of Romanesque architecture. It is of sandstone construction from nearby Drumban. The Abbot of Regensburg in Germany sent 2 of his carpenters to help with the work, and the twin towers on either side of the nave and chancel are suggestive of their Germanic influence, as this feature is otherwise unknown in Ireland. A series of blank arches decorate the south wall. The frescoes inside of Cormac's Chapel are the only ones of their kind in Ireland, dating back to medieval times. During the Reformation in the 16th century, these frescoes were painted over with whitewash. Extensive conservation work is ongoing on these frescoes. The chapel is cruciform in shape because of its 2 towers. The building features interior and exterior arcading, a barrel vaulted roof, and magnificent carvings over the north doorway and the chancel arch. On the west wall of the chapel is a sarcophagus, which was transferred from the cathedral in 1875. This stone tomb is beautifully carved with Hiberno-Scandinavian art, featuring interlaced beasts and serpents. It may have been the tomb of King Cormac, or that of his brother Tig. In 1749, the cathedral roof was removed by Archbishop Arthur Price to provide a roof for the newly built Church of Ireland Cathedral in the town. The Rock of Cashel was abandoned in favour of the Bishop's Palace in the town, built in 1730 by Archbishop Bolton. This palace was designed by Sir Edward Lovett, who also designed the old Parliament House in Dublin, now the Bank of Ireland in College Green. In 1647, the cathedral was sacked by English parliamentarian troops under Murroch O'Brien, 1st Earl of Inchiquin, and descendant of Murkertich O'Brien, who had granted the Rock of Cashel to the church. Many religious artefacts were destroyed at this time. On display in Cashel Heritage Centre are 2 royal charters, the first by King Charles II in 1663, and the second by King James II in 1687, granting city status to the town and recognising the importance of the Rock of Cashel's place in history.